It's the MYCRO. You already know. So there's a certain genre within manga and anime that I haven't really decided to take a deep dive into yet. And it's not necessarily due to the lack of trying either, but because I haven't found one that really calls out to me. There are just some animes out there that I just refuse to watch because I'm more of a person that's interested in action, mystery, and sci-fi. It's not every day that I can pick up something like Nagatoro or Komi Can't Communicate and be easily swayed by its storytelling. I think it's because these animes tend to be more episodic than, the animes that are more of a continuation. And it's not to say that Nagatoro is bad or anything. I actually do like Komi Can't Communicate and Nagatoro a lot. But there's really not much in it in terms of storytelling, and in just a few episodes, you can already predict the outcome of the ending of the series. I'm more invested in a long-form story that will continue from episode 1 to 100. And that is a lot of anime, so who am I to complain, really? But there is this one anime that actually blends these two, like rice and beans. Enter Spy Family. Spy Family is something I've picked up lately, and I could not drop it for the life of me. I absolutely love it. It's a story about 3 characters, Lloyd, Yor, and Anya. At first glance, you would think that they're just a typical family, an everyday family that you would see in the street just by looking at the cover. But it turns out that every one of these characters have a secret that they can't tell one another, and it's a big deal. The father is a spy, the mother an assassin, and the daughter is a telepath. And each one of them don't even know what the other is. Except Anya, of course, because, she can read minds and everything. The main focus is on the father, Lloyd Forger, spy name, Twilight, who is spying in another country by the name of Ostania to maintain peace by the 2 countries, Westalis and Ostania. His mission is to infiltrate the meeting held at Eden Academy, the most prestigious school in Ostania, so that he can get more information of the leader of the National Unity Party, Donovan Desmond. Why this person specifically? Because he poses a threat to the truce of these 2 countries. However, this meeting is only open to those parents of students in the Imperial Scholars, kind of like high honors. But how is he gonna get there? Well, the spy needs to be married and have a child in order to complete this operation. And because of this, he searches foster homes for a daughter well suited to enter Eden Academy and the Imperial Scholars. He stumbles upon Anya, who at first doesn't seem all that bright, but to our surprise, Twilight does take her in. Later on, he discovers that Anya is really not that smart, at least not smart enough to enter Eden Academy, a school who houses the most influential students in the country, some students' parents being the owners of big companies and leaders of major military divisions. So when Twilight tries to get her to enter, you can see that it's not going to be easy. But later on, we find out that they passed the first round submissions because Twilight is a badass, and now that's all that's left is the interview, which states that it requires both parents to be present in the interview. And this is where Yor comes in, the secret assassin. I'm not going to dive deep into Yor's backstory because I want you guys to witness it firsthand in the manga, but I'm just going to say that her character is one of those where she doesn't have any other qualities than her profession, which is killing. And seeing her try to become a better mother is really heartwarming, and the things she does makes you really appreciate her as a character. And the way this is set up is actually really cool, because before, Twilight has never depended on anybody but himself in the last operations, and never really needed anyone else in order to get things done. But now he's counting on 2 other individuals, and they don't even know who he is. Except, and remember when I mentioned Anya? Yeah, she can read minds. And all the time that Lloyd was talking some shit in his mind, Anya could read it all. And her reactions were amazing. There's a moment in the manga where Anya is given a homework task to interview a person with a job. And she was gonna ask Yor at first. And when Anya asked Yor was thinking of like her assassinations and stuff. And it made for one of the funniest things in the manga. And it was all in Yor's mind, and Anya could see everything that she was thinking, and then she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna ask my father now. And it's really like morbid during that scene, but it's just super funny. They make it so funny. I don't know how they did it, but The funniest thing about Anya, though, is that she is a child who is so oblivious to things sometimes, yet is in possession of one of the most powerful abilities anyone could dream of. And like, you're just in your head like, bro, why is she having this power when, you know, this would be great for a guy like Twilight. What the fuck? And not to mention, like, the awkward relationship that these three have whenever they're in front of other people is, like, so authentic sometimes. It's so fun to see how they can get themselves out of a sticky situation when confronted about their relationship. For example, in a scene during the interview to enter Eden Academy, one of the interviewers basically calls out the marriage between Yor and Lloyd and makes some pretty harsh accusations. And you would expect Lloyd, a government spy, to brush this off as bait so that his child couldn't make it into Eden. No, Twilight actually loses it and almost punches this guy. But, you know, ends up, you know, breaking the coffee table that they were sitting in front of, saying, you know, this is just a fly, you know, I just wanted to get this fly out of the way. And then he immediately just, like, dips. And one of the guys were, like, also thinking that the other interviewer was, like, being a dickhead, so, that happened. I'm not going to spoil too much, but that is what happened. You could see Twilight is really growing to be a caring person, but he still kind of reminds himself that he is a spy and that these emotions are really going to hinder him and it's only going to get in the way of his operation. When I was reading this manga at first, I didn't think Twilight would actually, like, fall in love with the family. He really did come across as a stoic human whose occupation is being a spy, but as the series progresses, he comes closer to Donovan and he builds a relationship and trust with Anya and Yor. And he seems rather conflicted with his emotions because after the operation's over, I mean, what is left of the family? This family was built from lies and only existed because of one mission. And that is something that invests me because he's always having these moments where he has to pretend to be a good father and a husband while being a spy on the side. And there's even a moment where he's caught caring about the family so much, but when he's confronted about his feelings, he's told that spies shouldn't, you know, they should set their feelings aside. And he thought to himself, he shouldn't care so much as he does, since there's no future between the family after all things are said and done. But regardless, in order to fulfill the mission, he really does try to go out of his way to become a great father to Anya and a good husband to Yor. And I swear, it's like, this manga really makes you wonder, like, how are they going to end up? And is this a relationship going to last? And off script, like, it's kind of sad and depressing because he's really coming to a realization that after the operation, like, you know, we're probably going to split up and things are going to be over. Anya truly doesn't want that. Yor, I don't really know much about Yor, to be honest, but I think she's trying to improve as being a mother and a wife. So, man, I really hope that, like, everyone, even after Operation Strix, that, like, they still stay together, and it would be really nice to see that. And I'm only, like, in the fucking 30s in the manga, and I'm loving it to death so far. So, yeah. This manga is great. I think you should check it out. And yes, the anime is coming out too, and they're being animated by the guys over at Cloverworks, the guys that animated Dress Up Darling. So expect some pretty fluid animation in that department. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I'm Addy Patati. See ya.